discuss topics that challenge you and assist in finding the solutions for a better outcome and a way forward. I'm your host, Faith. In episode 12, we discussed morals and values. In this episode, we are discussing people-pleasing versus kindness. Our disclaimer is a reminder that this podcast should not be taken as legal counseling or advice. Information on this podcast is for inspiration, and we cannot be held liable for information included in this podcast. Do not rely solely on the information shared. If you do, we will not be held liable for such reliance. This podcast isn't a substitute for professional advice. We are not a professional. The content is opinionated and the terms of use are to the best of our knowledge. We also reserve the right to change the management of this podcast. Let's get started. Welcome to a new episode of the Faith Exclusive Podcast. We are discussing people-pleasing versus kindness. Kindness is about authentic giving, while people-pleasing often stems from seeking validation or reciprocity. If this is true, then every loving, kind, compassionate, or caring person who genuinely extends themselves with no ulterior motive or expectation isn't a people-pleaser. People-pleasers are usually looking to be compensated for their acts of kindness. They look to be recognized or rewarded. This episode is to bring clarity and identify the characteristics of people-pleasing, how to show kindness to others without it turning into people-pleasing, and how to overcome it if you find that you identify with some of the behaviors. What are your thoughts on people-pleasing, and do you think that you are one? If you're joining, welcome to episode 13, where we discuss the difference between people-pleasing and kindness. Let's explore the characteristics of a people-pleaser. People-pleasers want to be liked by everyone, so they find themselves compromising to gain approval. They over-apologize even when they've done nothing to apologize for. They usually feel guilty for demanding their respect and setting healthy boundaries even when it's destroying them. They feel more valued when making others feel happy. When others don't consider their feelings, they become vexed. It's avoidance of conflict when addressing a necessary issue. They don't like seeing others suffering or perplexed. They feel the need to fix the dysfunctions. Criticism is a sure trigger for a people-pleaser. Does any of these characteristics sound familiar to you? Have you found yourself doing a few of them? They put themselves last and don't speak up for their own needs. They are perfectionist and hold themselves to a very high standard. For a people-pleaser, other people's opinions matter. Now this one is surprising because everyone should strive to be a good person, right? Everyone should operate at a level of character, integrity, and morals. However, people-pleasers are also known for following the rules and being the good girl or guy, but for approval. There is a difference between wanting to be a good person and following the rules and doing it for approval or reward. It sounds like people's pleasing. The bottom line is seeking approval from others for various acts. Just can't say no sounds simple. However, they find themselves in situations where people are taking advantage of them because they can't say no when necessary. If you're joining, welcome to episode 13, where we discuss the difference between people-pleasing and kindness. Kindness is heartfelt and warm to the receiver without expectation or motive. You're not looking for anything in return. The quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. It encompasses acts of compassion, goodwill, and service. It has a remarkable impact on your well-being and the world around you. I'm quoting a definition of kindness: boosts satisfaction and happiness. Acts of kindness release feel-good hormones like serotonin and dopamine, enhancing our mood and overall well-being. When we show up kindly for others, it benefits both parties. Strength and compassion. Kindness is a sign of strength. It moves us from me to we, allowing us to see the bigger picture and support others. Kind humans understand that life is complex, and people are doing their best with the tools they have. Universal language. Kindness transcends boundaries. It brings people together regardless of age, race, religion, or status. Plus, it's free. practicing kindness fosters a sense of belonging and strengthens relationships. Physical health benefits: kindness can decrease blood pressure, cortisol, a stress hormone, and even contribute to a helper's high. People who give of themselves tend to be healthier and live longer. Mental health and well-being: helping others benefits our own mental health. It increases self-esteem, empathy, and compassion. So, let's continue spreading kindness. It's a gift we give to ourselves and others. Unquote. The benefits of kindness without ulterior motives or expectation of return. If you're joining, welcome to episode 13, where we discuss the difference between people-pleasing and kindness. The goal is to be loving, kind, compassionate, and caring without seeking approval. From what we've discussed, people-pleasing is not healthy and the goal is to have balanced relations. Let's go over several ways to overcome the behavior of people-pleasing by being self-aware. If you missed the part of the podcast where we discussed the characteristics of people-pleasing, go back and listen. To become self-aware of the behavior, you first need to recognize how it shows up in your life unaware. Just when you think you're being kind, caring, considerate, and helpful, you cross over into people-pleasing. Remember, the key is your reason for doing it. If it's for approval, to be liked, accepted, or seen as a good person, it's considered people-pleasing. You want to be authentic in what you do without expectation. You could also become a target for the wrong people. This has been very informative. Now, let's discuss overcoming it. Self-reflection. Recognize your patterns and your reason for doing what you do. Be honest with yourself and acknowledge how you prioritize. What's the root cause of the people-pleasing? Set boundaries assertively and with respect. Love yourself, maintain healthy self-esteem, acknowledge your feelings, avoid seeking permission to show up, and be unapologetic. Just say no. Self-care. Address negative beliefs and trauma, seek to be healthy and whole. And finally, reclaim your power, rediscover yourself, heal, and rebuild. That brings us to the end of this episode. We appreciate you during our discussion regarding the difference between people-pleasing versus kindness. We hope this ignited something in you that provoked your curiosity. As always, we welcome you back and appreciate your listening ear here on Faith Exclusive Podcast. Please subscribe, like, and share.